Hey, how's it going, guys? Sensus here, and welcome to my top 5 reasons to play Blade and Soul. Keep in mind that everything said in this video are expressions of my personal opinions, and the best way to develop your own opinion about the game is to try it yourself. Now, whether you're a veteran from another MMORPG such as World of Warcraft looking for something fresh, or a fan of fighting games such as Street Fighter, Blade and Soul is definitely worth checking out. So with that, let's get right into it. Starting off with number 5, Stylish Combat. Blade and Soul features some of the most flashy and overall satisfying combat out of any MMO out there. It successfully strays away from the standard tab targeting combat system that most MMOs use these days and develops its own action-based system. Thanks to this system, you're able to utilize many unique combos. There aren't just 1 or 2 cookie cutter rotations for every class. Everything is situational. Some abilities lock onto your target directly, others you're forced to aim, which makes for a very high skill cap in both PvE and PvP. Moving on to number 4, Character Creation. Blade and Soul has some of the most extensive and in-depth character creation tools out there. When you originally get into the character creation screen, you're given the options to choose your race and class. One thing worth mentioning is that you're shown a preview and a detailed description along with a difficulty rating for each class before you choose to give you an idea about how the class plays. Moving on to the actual character creation, you can literally change everything about your character, whether that be common things like hairstyle, hair color, skin color, gender. But it doesn't stop there. This game also features sliders that allow you to edit things like waist size, torso size, arm size, head size, which is something that you don't see too often in MMOs today, at least not to the extreme that Blade and Soul takes it. Number 3, instant queues for dungeons. One thing that stood out to me when I first started playing this game was that there was no standard tank, healer, DPS system, or in other words, Trinity system. Everyone's their own tank, healer, and DPS. So what does this mean exactly? This means that in Blade and Soul, there is no sitting in a dungeon queue for 20 minutes waiting on that one tank or one healer. When you do a dungeon, you yourself are responsible for using your class's abilities to deal damage, heal yourself, and dodge mechanics. For example, if you die, it's all on you. There's no blame game. Whether you go through an entire dungeon without dropping below 90% or end up dying 5 times, all depends on how you utilize your class. Now, there are systems in place such as the Dragon Blood system, which you can use on every boss fight that essentially gives you a second life. When you drop to 0 health, with a Dragon Blood charge, you won't die. You'll instantly be restored to full health. Blade and Soul demonstrates that it's possible for an MMO to stray away from the classic Trinity system, if done right. Number 2, Rated Arena PvP. This would honestly be number 1 on my list if there wasn't for one other aspect about Blade and Soul that we'll talk about in just a moment. Now, most MMOs with PvP, including even World of Warcraft, are typically PvE focused games with PvP, which is why there's always been balancing issues between classes in those types of MMOs. On the other hand, I would describe Blade and Soul as not only a PvP focused game, but a PvP and PvE focused game. Let me explain. The way the game is designed, no class is given a substantial DPS boost over another class. All classes, if played correctly, can be successful in PvE. The same goes for PvP. Sure, there are classes that counter others, but that doesn't mean if you're on the weaker end, the match will be impossible to win. Currently, Blade and Soul features 2 types of ranked PvP modes. 1v1 match and 3v3 tag team match. 1v1, as the name suggests, are best of 3 1v1 duels between 2 players. Tag team is a little bit more complex. There are 3v3 matches, but only 1 player from each team can fight at a time. Players from each team will be able to interfere, which will allow them to fight alongside their teammate for a short amount of time. When time runs out, the winner is decided by whatever team did the most damage or killed the opposing team first. As far as the ranking system goes, it works very similarly to League of Legends with colored medals that indicate your rank in PvP. You start at bronze and can move up to silver, then gold, then platinum, and finally diamond. When you hit gold, you'll be able to see where you rank not only throughout all the other classes, but how you rank on your specific class. At the end of each PvP season, much like in WoW, you'll be awarded special items such as custom costumes and other items depending on where you rank. When it comes to the 1v1 ladder, it's all on your own skill, since the game is focused on 1v1 PvP as opposed to complete team-based 3v3. Each class is relatively balanced. As mentioned earlier, the game has a very high skill cap, but once you reach a point where you know what to expect from every other class and how to counter it with your class, you'll be able to dominate the PvP ladder. And finally, moving on to my number 1 reason to play Blade and Soul. Simple. It's free to play. There's no investment required. You can play the game by simply going to the Blade and Soul website, making an account, downloading it, logging in, and that's it. You're good to go. The game is not pay to win. I would describe it more as pay to convenience. For example, you can buy dragon trade pouches to expand your inventory. Now, does that sound like something that would give you a competitive edge over everyone else? No, and the rest of the cash shop is like that too. One other thing I want to mention is that most of the costumes that you can get in Blade and Soul can be found in-game. There's only a few purchasable costumes that are put up on the cash shop at a time. So anyway, to wrap this up, Blade and Soul is definitely worth checking out. Whether you're a veteran MMO player or new to MMOs, it's definitely something fresh that takes a different approach compared to your standard MMO and succeeds in doing so. And with that, as always, thanks for watching guys. I'll see you next time.